All right, ready to rock?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Three, two. Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I, of course, am the Brofix one, AJ, joining me as always, man with the number, sportsbook whisperer, college basketball guru, daddy of the diamonds, all hail the king of the links, part owner of a team that did tie with the Cowboys, the money train. Noah, how you doing today, bub?
That happened a whole last week ago, but yeah,
Listen. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way, Noah. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way because I have been grasping at straws for the last 2 days. I've been grasping at straws on how do I continue to be an NFL fan? How do I continue to be an Arizona Cardinals fan? Because there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. In my 29 years of life, Noah, that has to be one of the most embarrassing losses that a football team has ever committed. And we just had Penn State lose to UCLA this weekend, you know? And so then for the Cardinals to come out here and back it up and say, hey, hold my beer, watch this shit, and go ahead and have Mercado do the thing and showboat into the end zone. And then just Cam, I told you this when we were doing our pick show. I said it's bullshit teams like this with star rookie quarterbacks or these veterans that come back for 1 week and have their career games. Like this is their career game. Happened with Cam Newton and the Panthers. Happens with the Panthers all the time. Titans coming into town not winning a game. They didn't do shit to win the game all game. And then the fourth quarter comes around and they're like, oh, well, hey, they fumbled out of the back of the end zone. And then we have an interception, Noah. I was so happy when we got that interception. And then we fumbled that interception. And then we go to pick up that interception and we kick it into the end zone so the Titans can fall on it for a touchdown. Noah, this is why the NFL isn't scripted. This is why the NFL isn't scripted, because there is not one writer in the world, I am talking about in the entire world, that could come up with this bullshit, dude. Like,
well, someone really sadistic, maybe.
I mean, and then to top it all off, the Cardinals go ahead and find Jonathan Gannon $100,000 for laying hands on Mercado. And how Mercado still has a job when all is said and done, considering he's our third string back coming into this. And yes, I understand that we are a little low on running backs right now in Arizona. Just a little low on running backs, but fuck, dude. I honest to God, like I've been embarrassed. Like I have been embarrassed to be a Cardinals fan. I have been embarrassed by some of these losses. I've been disappointed even in some of these losses. I am at a loss of words for how just destroying this loss was. Not only as a Cardinals fan, I think for the team as a whole. Jonathan Gannon's done. We're going to trade away Kyler Murray. Blow it all up. Nothing's working. And let's just go ahead and Noah, guess what time it is? Oh, it's time for the Cardinals to rebuild again. And so go ahead, give us that number one overall pick. I cannot wait for it. Come March and rebuild this whole team, because I can't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And then, no, I've gone my entire lifetime without ever meeting a Tennessee Titans fan, okay? And then football season comes around, and it turns out that one of my coworkers is a Tennessee Titans fan. The first one I've ever met. He comes and asks me if I watched the game. I just said I didn't want to talk to him. And he said, yeah, dude, it's crazy. I decided to go last minute because my buddy bought tickets and his wife couldn't go. And I thought we were going to get shellacked, but then I ended up enjoying the hell of it. I'm like, that's great for you. Good for you. Get the fuck away from my desk. I am not in the mood to talk about this, Noah. It was awful.
Yeah, you forgot to mention the snap that went right off of Kyler's face mask.
Oh, the one that gave him a concussion in the end of the first half? The one where he had to go into the blue tent? They're trying to cover it up with this whole, oh, it was a foot injury they were looking at. Bro didn't get stepped on the foot. No one was looking at him. He got donked in the head and then didn't dive on the ball because he didn't know what planet he was on. Okay?
Yeah, that was one of the worst meltdowns I've seen in a good while. Somebody should probably inform the Cardinals that there are, in fact, four quarters in a football game. Seems to be a theme so far this season. But, anyways, we'll get into that later in our NFL recap, AJ. It's a big day today. It is the start of a new NHL season.
You're right, Noah. You're right. I have that to look forward to now. Wild aren't playing tonight, but we do have a great triple header going on ESPN right now. Opened up with, honestly, a better game than I was expecting between the Panthers, who got to raise their banners. Their rings look sick as hell, by the way. Going up against the Blackhawks. Final score 2-3 in that one. Huh?
It was a tight one. It was a good game.
Yeah, very tight one on banner raising night. We've got the Pittsburgh Penguins up on the Rangers now in the second period, 1-0 with 8:08 left to go there. And Avs Kings to go ahead and wrap up the triple header. And Noah, before we get into kind of like the overarching NHL season we're going to be seeing, I do want to bring up one thing that I feel like we have talked about for the last 6 years we've done this show at the beginning of the NHL season. And it is, who in their right mind made this schedule? Like, for real, who in the right mind opens up the season with 3 teams and then goes to the next night with, 4 games, and then just has the biggest slate you've ever seen in your life on that third day? And then on the fourth day, Noah, because you had so much hockey on that third day, they're not even going to do hockey. They're going to pretend hockey doesn't exist for a little bit. This is your little teaser, and then we get into the weekend slate. I mean, we compliment the NHL so much on what they've done to grow the sport and make it better for fans, the deals they've signed, the all-star games and everything. But we need to talk about their scheduling here a little bit.
I don't think it's an issue. They pretty much do this every year. Yeah, maybe it's not perfect. But they give you a little teaser before we really truly get into the season. And then I do love what they do where, there are some days where there might only be 2 or 3 games throughout the NHL season. But then I like how a couple times a month they line it up so that every team is playing on one specific day. I think they do that like once or twice a month where we get those full slate, everybody's playing games. And those are fun. Those are fun days. But I'm just happy hockey's back, man. I can't wait for the Wild to kick it off against the Blues on, I believe, Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah. Now that the impending doom of not having Kirill Kaprizov is gone, he will be in a Wild uniform for quite a while, barring something crazy happening. And so, I'm stoked about that. Hockey's back, baby. It's a great sport. If you don't watch it, now's a better time than any.
Always a good time to get into hockey, and it's one of those sports that I've always liked growing up, and then doing this show has really turned into like a love. I love the sport, love the game, and love where it's at right now. But no, with a new season, hey, Panthers open it up, and they even came out and said, we're back on the hunt. We raised another banner. Yeah, our rings are sick as hell, but we're back on the hunt. The Stanley Cup is on everyone's mind. And Noah, I got to know, going into this season, like, what are the teams you're looking out for? Obviously the Panthers bringing back a lot of people, but losing Barkov, to injury during training camp. And we'll see how long he's out for. But still, the Maple Leafs there. You got the who the hell was it? The Oilers, who just re-signed McDavid for a 2-year extension, $25 million. And they seem kind of all in for these last couple of years. Maybe McDavid goes away. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? But, Noah, what are the teams you're kind of looking out for this hockey season?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really tough for Florida to three-peat. Not having Barkov is going to be huge. He is, not only the captain, but the heart and soul of that team, the glue guy at the center of it all. So I do think they're still going to be a good team. I'm not worried about that necessarily. Carolina is going to be a big one to keep an eye on. I think they're locked and reloaded, ready to go. Edmonton, obviously, going to be a threat to come out of the West. You got your usual players like Vegas, Colorado, Dallas should be pretty decent. up near the top, and then the rest. I think there's a good chunk of teams that are in the mix that we just don't know enough about. The Wild included in that, right? So you've got your, I don't know, I would say 5 or 6 front runners. You've got 6 to 8 teams where I'd be shocked if they make the playoffs, and then the rest is just kind of open. A lot can happen over an 82 game season. Injuries happen. Some chemistry, line chemistry specifically in hockey, can be developed, and you never know who that next lethal scoring line is going to be that you weren't expecting. And so it's a longer developing story that we're going to have to find out and learn a lot more about some of these teams. That is probably what I would call about a 2/3, 50% to 2/3 of the league. 2/3 might be a little aggressive. I'd say 40 to 50% of the league falls into that boat of, they could be a playoff team. They could miss the playoffs depending on how things go. But I wouldn't be surprised to see 1, 2, 3 of those teams end up being really dangerous teams going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and NFL is one of those sports where we always talk about the parity, but it's not talked about, I think, enough in the NHL that, yes, you could be locked and loaded from last year, but that doesn't mean everything's going to go your way. These young guns or this team of mismatched toys or something can come together and, make a big playoff push. And I think that's one of the more underrated things about hockey that's not talked about enough. But I like where you're at, buddy. I mean, I think the Leafs are going to be dangerous again. Watch out for the Senators. They always like to make a run sometimes in the midseason. And then I get on my Senators Saturdays kicks, and then I never hit a bet on the Senators. It's awesome. I'm not expecting the I forgot they changed their name, the Utah Mammoth, which, golly, we really couldn't do anything better than that.
I mean, they had a nice season last year.
Yeah.
I thought overperformed expectations going in. Ultimately didn't end up making the playoffs, but they're going to be one of those teams that they could have a repeat of last year where it was a decent season where they just missed out on the playoffs. They could be worse than last year. They could be better and be a wild card team. I mean, it's kind of there's a lot of teams in this boat where I feel like the NFL, you have more of an idea of what to expect going in. The NHL can hold a lot more surprises. I would put it a lot more akin to like the MLB, where there's teams that do surprisingly bad and surprisingly good every year. Not that we don't have that in every sport, but the MLB, you also have the factor of no salary cap, so these teams go out and spend 6 times as much as other teams, and they should be better. NHL, a little bit different. I think you do have a lot more parity in the NHL, and teams can get vastly better or vastly worse from year to year, and you don't always see it coming.
No, don't always see it coming, and then teams get hot, teams get cold, and those streaks can go on forever, and they can get very short.
Huge momentum sport.
Yeah, huge. You want to make any statements regarding our Minnesota Wild before they do their puck drop?
Bro, fucking Kaprizov just needs to stay healthy. I mean, the Wild were one of the best teams in the league before he got injured for the first time. I believe they had like a 23-20-3 record in games that Kaprizov missed, which was slightly over half of the season. Playoff series was competitive, came up short, whatever. Seems like that happens every year. But if the Wild can stay healthy, if Kaprizov can stay healthy, I think they're going to be in a good position to, I don't know if they'll win the division. That's a little bit of a bold statement when you got Colorado and Dallas sitting there at the top, as well as Winnipeg. I don't think Winnipeg's going to repeat the success they had last year, but they are still a dangerous team. So, it'll be a fun, competitive season, and I'm excited to see what happens with it.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Go Wild. Let's have ourselves a year. I'm excited, Noah. Stanley Cup or bust. I'm all the way.
My one prediction will be if Kaprizov stays healthy for the entire season, he's going to have 50 goals. He may push that 60 number.
Woo! Hey, we're paying him enough money. He might as well go ahead and do that.
Don't you worry. He stays healthy. He's going to earn that fucking contract.
I can't wait. Can't wait to watch him, Noah. But going from one sport that's just starting today to another sport that is starting soon, don't you forget, Noah, we got the sports equinox right around the corner for us. The NBA getting back into action, getting some preseason games, getting training camp started. And, you know, there's one player in the NBA where if the attention's not on him, he definitely knows how to get that attention on him. And let's be real, it's his world, and we're just living in it according to him. And it happened, Noah. It happened. Okay, we lived through one of them, and we had to live through a second one. This one, I think might have been. I think the second decision may have been a little bit more groundbreaking than the first, just because of social media and everything. The hype around the second decision for LeBron James was at an all-time high. And I mean, it seemed like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, is he gonna retire? Is he not? This seems a little weird. I wasn't shocked to see at the end of the day that it was an ad for Hennessy and that he is now, I don't know, a partner with them or something like that. And they decided to make a whole big deal of it or something. But I mean, congratulations to LeBron James for deciding to get a very easy bag, I guess. But honestly, an epic, one of the best marketing scams I've seen in a while. You know, one of the best ones I've seen in a while. Shout out to LeBron too. Latrell James all the way back. I love it.
Yeah, I think he may stick around enough to be playing at the same time as Bronny being in the league, or not
Bryce.
Bronny, Bryce. Yeah, who, by the way, I don't know if you caught the red versus blue game at all for Arizona.
Caught bets.
Really fun with Gronk getting in there, and then Bryce James had 3 real early on. He'll I don't think he'll be a starter this year, but he'll get some playing time off the bench. That's for sure. Depending on how this year goes, we'll see if he takes a pity second round draft pick or decides to stick with Arizona long enough to be in that starting rotation at some point, which I think if he does stay 2 or 3 years, he should be in that starting rotation at one point or another. Definitely, I mean, everybody's said it since the two of them were in high school / even middle school that Bryce looks to be the better one. I want to know how the fuck Bronny ended up at 6 foot and Bryce is like 6'3", 6'4", when LeBron's the size that he is. I know their mom's not the tallest, but neither of them quite blessed with that LeBron James height. I know they have Bronny listed at 6'1", but I think that's he's 5'11", and we're going to give him 6'1" because we want to Bryce, I think he's listed at 6'4". I think he's probably 6'3", maybe 6'4", but yeah, and NBA, you know what? It's going to be the NBA. I don't get as excited for the NBA though, because you have all these guys taking rest days. The regular season really doesn't feel like it matters that much. I think the biggest story going into this season is, will Giannis be a buck throughout the entire season?
Yeah. Those conversations definitely seem to be heating up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, apparently got leaked earlier, like a day or two ago, that the only team that the Bucks were actually listening to with trade offers for Giannis last year was the New York Knicks. Interesting, staying in division there, but apparently they felt the Knicks were the only team who had a good enough package to offer that they would even listen to conversation about it. But the fact that they were listening to conversation about that with at least one team lets you know that the door is not completely shut on the Bucks trading away Giannis, and that could be a huge, huge, huge move. And I think if that does happen, which I think there is a chance, I think that chance is less than 50%. But if the Bucks are not playing well, they're looking at that. They could get a massive package of picks as well as players for Giannis, and if they're willing to listen, I think that is something that, depending on how the season's going, that has to be the biggest storyline of the NBA season. If a deal did happen for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, and I think that this will be so much different than how the Luka trade played out, because yes, they were in serious talks with just the Knicks, but this is a trade where this is you pick up the phone and say, "What would you give me for Giannis?" and then you kind of gauge off of that if that's acceptable, and you say yes or no, and then hang up and then call the next person.
Well,
You have the ability to do that if they wanted to.
From what I was reading, though, it wasn't even, I wouldn't even call it serious conversations about it that they had with the Knicks. They were only willing to answer the phone for the Knicks. They weren't even answering the phone to anybody else inquiring. So interesting. Again, if the Bucks get off to a slow start to the season, that door might creep wider and wider open. And again, going in, that's the biggest thing I'm waiting to see if it happens, because if it does, it will be the storyline of the season.
For sure. That and will the Phoenix Suns ever get rid of Bradley Beal? That's one thing I'm going to be looking at this season. But we'll see how that goes. I'm going to go with no, personally. But anything else in the NBA, Noah?
No, that's all I got. And Bradley Beal is not on the Phoenix Suns, by the way. He is a Los Angeles Clipper.
Oh, you're totally right. I forgot that happened.
The Suns did bite the bullet on that one, bought him out, and then the Clippers ended up signing him, which is...
You're totally right. Yeah, I forgot about that. I was right on that.
I don't know if I call that a win for the Suns. I think it was probably a necessary evil is what I would call that.
Yeah.
Is like the Suns just had to eat his contract because nobody wanted to trade for him because they didn't want his contract. Bradley Beal gets all that money paid out and then goes and signs another contract. The Clippers get him for a affordable price, probably at or slightly less than what he's actually worth at this point in his career, whereas the Suns were paying him way more than he was worth and stuck in that. So the Suns have an opportunity to rebuild this team now, shedding that contract and with KD gone. And so I imagine they're going to do everything they can to keep Booker. It's going to be a matter of how quickly can they rebuild a team around Booker that's going to actually be contending. But we'll see. It's not going to happen this year. Next year, maybe 2 years from now, Suns might be back into playoff contention, like legitimate playoff contention. I don't know. We'll see if they can do well in the draft, get pieces like they fucking had before they traded them away. You know, the McCall Bridges, the Cam Johnsons, those type of guys. They can get back there in, I would say, 2 to 3 years to be in a top 4 team in the West. And big emphasis on the word can. Will they? That'll be yet to be seen. I don't expect them to do much this year. Next year is going to be the year to really focus on.
Yeah, well, and while we're talking basketball, I will take a moment. Shout out to the Phoenix Mercury. They somehow got into the finals, and they're down 2-0 to the Aces, but it's been a competitive 2-0. So I just want to go ahead and tip my hat to them as we do. We are on the verge of a lockout. So,
I said big W guy over here.
Big dub. So honestly, I'm not, no bullshit, no bullshit. My wife and I are having serious conversations of going to the Game 4 finals on Friday.
What do those tickets run?
So here's the thing. You can look at the prices one of two ways, Noah. I look at it as, holy shit, the first sporting event I've seen in probably since COVID that's somewhat affordable. Or you can look at it as, oh, it's their finals and their tickets are this much. Do you know how much other sporting event tickets? I think it's more of how you look at it.
That wasn't the question. I was just asking how much.
Get in price is $40. You can go lower bowl for low hundreds, like 100, like 110, 120, and
cheaper than a Cardinals game.
No, exactly. And that's my thing. But we always bitch and moan about how expensive sporting events are and everything. And football's a bad example because there's 17 games, playoffs maybe.
Hey, it's all supply and demand though. Cause
exactly.
I mean, shit. You look at a U of A regular season conference game, and most of those are $100+ just to get in the door.
Yeah.
And, part of that's because in Tucson you got a really good team and you got not that many seats and there's not much else to do in Tucson. You got 500,000 population in Tucson. So and then you got Phoenix not too far away with a bunch of Wildcat alum fans up here. So I'm using that as an example because it's all supply and demand.
Yeah.
Wild to me that Cardinals tickets are considerably more than Packers tickets at Lambeau, but then you look at the fact that Lambeau does take some legwork to actually physically get to, which probably factors into that a little bit. Like there's a lot of factors at play with the ticket prices. Again, it's just economics, it's supply, demand. It's, how many people want to go to the game
I get
versus
it.
how many seats are at the stadium. So, I'm not going to shit on the ticket prices. I was just asking because I was curious.
Yeah. We would be, yeah, we're looking, I don't think we'd sit lower bowl. Like, I'm not that interested in the W, but, I mean, I would go. I've been to a Mercury game before, like right after COVID, and I was just, hungry for sports. Um, and I mean, it was a good, like, I can't, it was WNBA basketball, but, it's still a good time. You're at a sporting event. I mean, chug a couple beers and place a couple prop bets. It's a good time. But
Yeah,
I
well,
do,
there's D1 college programs where their tickets are like
yeah,
$3-4 to get in the door, and they play in high school size, large high school size gymnasiums. Um, but again, it's all supply and demand. It's how good is the team? How many people are in the area? How many people want to go to the? I mean, all of it all trickles down to how many people want to go to the event and how many seats are there.
absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely, Noah. And one event that is not going to have a lot of seats available. This just got like officially announced this week. UFC at the White House will occur on June 14th next year.
That's ridiculous.
I listen. We're not a political show, so this is no politics. Just the visuals, though, of like an octagon, and then there's the White House and the Washington Memorial. I think that's just going to look cool as shit.
Yeah.
No announcements about the card or anything. I know that McGregor is talking about getting it. I know John Jones and a lot of big names are talking about getting in this card. Gotta wait and see.
Let John Jones fight McGregor. That would be fun. They're quite a few weight classes apart, so that would never happen. And John Jones would probably just
Catch weight.
I think we'd see a manslaughter. John Jones lands one kick on McGregor's head, and it's
Pop goes the weasel. Holy crap.
No longer with us.
But no, that's just again, probably not a lot of seats, all the background checks and everything. I bet you like 10 people are going to be allowed into that thing. So
it's probably gonna be a super stacked card. Like they might even have multiple title fights on that just because of the magnitude of. Are they doing it like front lawn of the White House? Is that what the plan is?
That's what all of the rumors and what the projection drawings and like the not projection.
They better fucking hope the weather cooperates then, because any tiny bit of rain and you got to cancel that because you can't be having rain in the octagon.
Yeah, that would be, and that's interesting because my memory, and like looking back through everything, I don't think the UFC's hosted an event outside before, and so I mean the WWE, like they host WrestleMania in the big open air stadiums, and they're able to go through with rain. Pro wrestling a little bit different than UFC, obviously, but still you got to worry about slippage when you're climbing the ropes and everything like that. But I am sure Dana White, of all people, is paying someone a shit ton of money to figure out that. So I'm not too worried about it.
Clearly, there's probably a lot of time, a lot of sharp minds, and a lot of money going into planning this. So I'm sure they'll make it work. They could probably pop up an awning big enough too to cover the octagon at the very least, just in case of some rain.
Yeah.
Not to say that the fans won't be subjected to whatever weather is present, but again, there's enough time and money going into this. They're going to figure it out. I'm not worried about that.
For sure. Well, Noah, that's all the random stuff I wanted to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into some MLB playoffs, as we do have, 2 games going on right now. Tigers, Mariners in the bottom of the 9th. The Mariners up 8-1 at home, and my computer is not working with me. That's fun. Mariners up 8-1 at home. It's a 1-1 series. Mariners looking to go up 2-1 here. Yankees and Blue Jays also going on. Blue Jays up 6-3 currently and leading the series 2-0. You got the Dodgers and the Phillies. Dodgers up 2-0 on the Phillies. Brewers up 2-0 on the Cubs. Noah, where do you want to start here? Do you want to start anywhere specific? Do you want to just talk about it? Broad strokes, what you feeling?
Well, we'll just start with the game that's almost over here. The game that you mentioned first, the Mariners Tigers, split games in Seattle. Mariners up 8-1, middle of the ninth in this one. I can't imagine anything crazy is going to happen here. They needed to get at least one game in Detroit after losing 1-2 at home. This will put the Mariners back in pretty firm command of this 5-game series. They'll play again in Detroit tomorrow. If it does go to 5, it goes back to Seattle, and they get to play at home in that one. So does look to me like Seattle will be probably moving on here. Detroit hasn't looked great. They did get past Cleveland in that wild card round, which I thought was probably the most competitive out of all of the wild card series. I don't think that's a super hot take or anything.
No.
Detroit hadn't really been hitting the ball well. Seattle, outside of who the fuck am I thinking? Outside of Cal Raleigh, Randy Rosarina, and Jorge Polanco has not really been hitting the ball well, but those three have been taking care of business. Clearly, they found their bats in this one.
Yeah.
I've only caught bits and pieces of the game so far, but I think a lot of people are pulling for Seattle. Not that there aren't a lot of people who wouldn't mind seeing Detroit. I think you got a lot of people pulling for Toronto potentially as well. And then the Brewers are probably the last team in that mix that the public's really pulling for. So it would be fun to see Seattle move on here. I'll transition into the 6-3 game we got going on right now. Would absolutely love to see the Yankees get swept in front of their crowd here.
Nothing more. Nothing more.
To a divisional opponent. So that'd be really fun. If anybody's complaining about a Seattle Toronto or even a Detroit Toronto
ALCS,
like go fuck yourself, because I don't even care if you're a Yankees fan or a Detroit fan. You get the right to complain about that because you lost and you're sour, and then it's a reason. It's a reason to complain. But if your team, especially if your team didn't make the playoffs or your team's an NL team, if you have complaints about either of those two matchups, go fuck yourself. Public is, I think, going to win huge in this playoff so long as the Dodgers don't win the World Series. Before I get into the NL, AJ, you got anything to say about either of these two series in the AL right now?
Yeah, first off, I love nothing more than the fact that the Mets went on arguably the best and slowest downfall in MLB history to miss the playoffs completely with how much they're spending on their roster. And then I love that Big Brother from across town is about to get belt to ass by the Blue Jays in 3 games. The Yankees have had the same issues they've had all season long. Like, yes, their bats can get hot. Judge is a power hitter, but if they go cold, they go cold. And sometimes they don't see the ball well. Blue Jays pitching and their bullpen has really stepped up in this series, and it is going to need to be something we look forward to continuing on to the ALCS. I love this Mariners team. I have loved this Mariners team for a couple of years. They've been a team that's been on my list going into the season. This is a very young, talented team that has been improving year over year. Yes, last season, they shit the bed. There ain't no question about it. That was some piss-poor effort by them. But they really bounced back this entire season, added a lot at the trade deadline in Suarez and Naylor, and I think it's going to continue to roll for them. Like you said, no, I think they finish this one up in 4. I don't think they're going to need all 5. But if they have to go back to Seattle in 5, I'm feeling good about that.
They might. And I really think you don't want to push it to 5 because
no.
I don't know if Scooball's ready to go back out yet tomorrow. But you give it 3 more days, and you bet your ass Scooball's going to be out there pitching, and that's like the one guy you don't want to be facing if you're Seattle.
Yeah.
So, not to say they can't beat him, but I would think if you're Seattle, it's all hands on deck tomorrow. Like, let's wrap this up in 4 and not send this back home for a game 5. I mean, at least if it does go 5, you're playing at home. But the longer this series gets extended, the more I think it benefits Detroit.
I would agree. They're trying not to see Scooble again. That is got to be the biggest thing. Like, let's not see him again. Let's move on to the CS and worry about Toronto.
It's arguably the best pitcher in the league right now, and you just don't want to face him again if you don't have to.
Fair enough, but I do got to say, I think the Brewers got a kid that might be competing for best in the league in the next couple of years. Mizorowski had an unbelievable outing last night. Brewers up 2-0 on the Cubs as this does go to Wrigley now. But if I'm pulling for the Cubs. No, family is from Chicago. I root for the Cubs whenever I have a chance to.
Yeah, they're kind of your secondary team.
Yeah, and if for those of you wondering, I do have a secondary football team as well, and it's the Chicago Bears. So it's amazing that I stayed sane for this long this weekend. Kind of pushed me over the edge, but that's a whole other conversation for later. Bears had a bye week, so that
helped. Bears were on a bye week, so
yeah, that helped. That helped a lot, I will say. But I'm worried about the Cubs. I'm worried about the Cubs right now. The bats aren't happening for them. Pitching's not going where it needs to be. I'm not loving the bullpen right now. And dude, Mizorowski is so fucking good. Like, it's not just his speed. He's got unbelievable speed on his balls. It's his location, it's his pitch selection, his intensity throughout. And I mean, just like, Paul Skeens, bro doesn't look tired. Like, you can leave bro out there for 8 innings and it ain't going to be an issue. You probably got to sit him for 6 days, but.
Well, and he fell to the 4th round. And I know I've mentioned it once or twice on the show when we were kind of covering some baseball in there during the summer to fill the gaps. And the Brewers were celebrating like they won something big by landing him. And he might have even slipped a few more rounds if. Like, I don't think anybody had him as high on their boards as the Brewers did. Obviously, multiple teams passing on him multiple times. And the Brewers did wait until the 4th round to get him. But this was a guy apparently the Brewers had big time circled. Like, we're landing him. And I guess in the 4th round is when they felt like, okay, now maybe there's some risk that somebody else is it's got him on their radar. And like, the Brewers were celebrating so big about getting this guy, and it feels like a Disney movie type of season for the Brewers.
It does, doesn't it?
Cubs got off to a roaring hot start. The Brewers were like 6 or 8 games back by about midpoint of the season, and then all of a sudden the Brewers just said, fuck it, we don't want to lose games anymore. And then you got Mizorowski on top of it. I mean, this team's firing on all cylinders, and it feels like if there is justice, if there is, if something's right in the world, this feels like the Brewers should win the World Series. Now I'm not worried about them getting past the Cubs, but then they're going to have a date with what looks to be probably the Dodgers. Can they get past the Dodgers? Can they get past whoever comes out of the American League? Time will tell, but again, this is one of those real heartwarming postseasons, or it feels like it's building up to be right now in sports, where if you're a neutral fan and you don't cheer, if you don't have a horse in the race and you don't hate any of these teams, it feels like it's like building up to just be like a really just sit back and enjoy it. And you don't have to like really root for or against either team super hard, because, if we end up with, Brewers, Mariners, Brewers, Tigers, even Brewers, Blue Jays, like I know for myself at least, and probably for a lot of people, it's going to be okay, cool. I can just sit back, relax, and enjoy this series, and just hope it goes as many games as possible. And that's fun. We don't get that a lot. There's usually a villain in there. There's a team you want to root against because it's like, I'm tired of this fucking team winning, or they've been on top for too long. They're a hated rival of mine, which we might get there might be a little bit of that sprinkled in, but it'll just be fun. I imagine the Brewers probably wrap it up tomorrow in 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. Brewers Mariners is definitely the series I want. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Like you mentioned, Noah, this series does look to be wrapping up tomorrow, probably. Dodgers, Phillies. Bro, they just look like they have no fight. Like they're just not playing well, not seeing the ball well, not hitting the ball well, not pitching the ball well. I mean, and granted, it's the Dodgers. You're running into an absolute juggernaut that feels like they haven't let the
Oh
pedal
yeah,
off the gas all season.
yeah. Well, it's tough when you're playing a fucking all-star team.
Yeah. Oh
Granted,
yeah.
granted, the Phillies finished the season with more wins than the Dodgers.
True.
But at the end of the day, it's the Dodgers, it's the playoffs, and they're gonna more often than not show up and show out, and you can see all that. Not the Phillies didn't spend a shit ton of money on their roster, but you can see all that money at work. Man, I don't know. A lot of people are gonna be happy with the Yankees. Hopefully, unless they come back from this 3-run deficit here, getting hopefully swept, and then be nice to see the Phillies maybe extend this. I could see them winning a game tomorrow at home to push this series a little bit farther. Maybe they get lucky and get two. I don't think they're winning 3 in a row against the Dodgers, though.
No.
That's a tough task when you're playing the Dodgers in a series. Well, actually, they're not even at home. They're playing. Never mind. They're fucked. They're playing it. They're not winning 2 in a row at Dodger Stadium.
No.
I forgot for a second that Philly's the higher seed. Yeah, they dropped 2 at home. They're cooked. They're done. I take that back. I just hope the Brewers bring it against the Dodgers. Take care of business.
Gotta hope. You gotta hope.
Do it for America.
Do it for America. But anything else in the baseball world, Noah?
No. Again, we'll see how these divisional series play out, and then we'll be into the championship series, and those should be a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Well, do you want to take our break before we get into football or after we do college?
All right, let's go through college football first, if that's
all right. Let's go ahead, Noah, and go through the biggest joke on earth. That's a joke to everybody except the people that actually write it, that being the AP Top 25. Coming at you for week 7, Noah. Week 7 already in college football. My God. But unfortunately, my systems aren't working, so I can't pull it up, but I'll run through it for you. I'll just go through the top 10 because a lot of movement everywhere in this one. No, a lot of movement everywhere. Got Ohio State at 1, the U at 2, Oregon at 3, Ole Miss at 4, Texas A&M at 5, Oklahoma at 6, Indiana at 7, Alabama at 8, Texas Tech at 9, Georgia at 10. Where do you want to start, bud?
Well, I guess I'll just go top to bottom. I did tweet out my top 25 late Saturday night. I had definitely been getting after it all day, and then after I had some time to sleep on it, reevaluate, I do have a couple tweaks to what I tweeted out originally. But my top 10, I don't. And my top 10, I have the same exact 10 teams as the AP. Bit of a different order. I do love Ohio State at 1. They've done nothing to lose that number 1 spot. And I know sometimes the AP does like to shift things around, drop a team a spot or two for not doing anything wrong just because some other team a couple spots below them beat another ranked team or whatever. Ohio State's done nothing to lose at number 1. I got them at 1. I got Miami at 2. I did move Oregon down a few spots this week. I moved them all the way down to 6. Because that Penn State win going into double overtime does not quite look as great anymore. Yes, Happy Valley, really, really fucking tough place to play in a whiteout, in a night game. I'm not shaming Oregon for winning that game or even going to overtime in it. It happens. They came out on top. But I did drop them from my, I believe, 3 to 6. I've got Oklahoma all the way up at 3. I have Oklahoma all the way up at 3 personally. I think they are a really, really tough team. Texas Tech's going to be taking my 4 spot this week. This is the first week in my rankings I've got teams from 4 different conferences occupying those top 4 spots. Why the fuck does the AP still have Texas Tech down as low as they do? I mean, show some respect to this team.
They don't watch the games.
It's crazy to me. Miami, I do want to just real quick. I think Miami has, in my opinion, the number one defense that I've seen in college football, and that's the
Agreed.
thing. It's not as much about Carson Beck. He's being a great system quarterback as the Yankees tie it up 6-6 in the fourth. Carson Beck's he looks like a great system quarterback in Miami's system. He's doing everything that he needs to do. He's not causing any issues, any mistakes, any self-inflicted wounds. But that defense looks really good. And on the flip side of it, Texas Tech, man, that offense at Texas Tech, and they have a really good defense too. Let's not fail to mention Texas Tech is really good on the defensive side of the ball as well. But that offense, man, this is the most lethal offense in college football. This is the most lethal offense in college football. Played a really good Utah defense a couple weeks ago. Spanked the shit out of them. It did take a little bit. They didn't have a lot of points until the second half. But Houston's played really, really good on the defensive side of the ball. They were 4-0 coming into this game. And Texas Tech just said, man, we don't care what the fuck your defense looks like. We're going to score a fuck ton of points on you. And I think they're going to do that to just about everybody they play this year. And they're going to play plenty of games against much worse defenses than Utah and Houston. And this is a team that can go out there and hang 50 on just about all but maybe 5 or 10 teams in the country. I truly believe that. I think they can if they want to. I got A&M at 5. Look like a really well-rounded team.
Yeah,
doing everything well. Just waiting for it to come crashing down because it is Texas A&M, and at some point it feels like something's going to break because it's just A&M, and that's what they do. But as of now, got them at 5. Like I said, Oregon at 6. I got Georgia at 7. Yes, last week I had Georgia, 8 spots above Alabama, something like that. And I said, people might give some flack for that, but whatever. I got Georgia at 7. I got no problem with that. Ole Miss, I got at 8. I'm putting less weight behind that LSU win, but they're a really good team. Don't get me wrong. They're hosting Washington State this week. I believe coming in at 33.5-point favorites. If they cover that 33.5, Washington State's, they're okay. If they can't cover that 33.5, and if they can't cover that 33.5, close to that 33.5, I'm going to be reinforced in why I have them barely inside of the top 10.
Hey, good teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah, they're playing at home. If I am to believe that they are a top 5 team like the AP poll has them at, they should have no problem beating Washington State by 35 plus. So we'll see what happens with that game. I moved Bama all the way up to 9. Really good win against a good team. Took care of business. The final score does not tell the story of how that game went. They're going to have a really tough matchup playing at Missouri this week. Missouri coming off of a bye, playing at home. Alabama had to give a lot of effort into that Vandy game. That'll be on our slate for our picks tomorrow. Tune in for that. But I did move Bama back inside of the top 10. I'm giving them their flowers. They're up to 9 for me. And I got Indiana at 10, rounding that out. Another team that's going to have a really, really tough game playing at Oregon this week, but that's going to be a fun one.
That's going to be a good one. College game day going to be at Oregon, Indiana this week. So should be good. Noah, let's go ahead and go 10 of 11 through 20. AP has LSU at 11, Tennessee at 12, Georgia Tech at 13, Missouri at 14, Michigan at 15, Notre Dame at 16, Illinois at 17, BYU at 18, Virginia at 19, Vanderbilt 20.
Yeah, I got LSU at 11. I don't really know how I feel about that, but that's
I'm
fine.
so hit or miss on them every week, bro.
I'm kind of in the boat where I'm just waiting for an opportunity to move them down farther. When they give me that opportunity, I will jump on it.
But I think that's the thing, though. Like, when you watch this team, it's not okay, they're setting up to win. It's more, okay, are they going to give this one away? Is this going to end bad for them? Or it feels like we're waiting for a meltdown with LSU.
Yeah, well, they got Vandy coming up at Vandy here in not this week, but next week. So that could be a game to circle for you. Jump Notre Dame up to 12. I'm like, oh, okay, again, the way I got my rankings, they had a really close game that they should have won against number 2, and a really close game they should have won against number 5. They've pretty much put belt to ass the last 2 weeks. It seems like they've figured it out, especially their problems on the defensive side of the ball. Now we'll see.
Yeah.
They're going to have a really tough game against USC coming up. They got a couple more tough games on the schedule. They did themselves a favor of scheduling a winnable schedule that does have some tough games on it that they can hang their hat on at the end of the season. I think if they win out, they are a playoff team. They lose one more game, probably not. So it's a tough one going on, but they will be favored in the rest of their games for the season. So they just got to take care of business. I got Illinois sitting at 13. I really think Illinois they're getting penalized so much by this 53-point loss at Indiana. Yes, 53, losing by 53 to anybody, not a good look. Not a good look. But I think I think that's a game where if they played it 10 times, they win 4 to 5 out of the 10. It just so happened they brought a really bad performance against an Indiana team who's a really tough, good team, and I think not a lot of people are questioning that. Iowa State, I only dropped Iowa State 4. I only dropped them to 14. They lost at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I don't have in my top 25, but I have them right on the verge. Iowa State's incredibly injured. They're incredibly injured. They had an opportunity to win this game. If they didn't get down so bad to begin with, they probably would have. And I don't know why we're just kicking Iowa State's first 5 weeks to the curb because they lost a one-score game to Cincinnati, which they got down really bad in and clawed back a bit. It just wasn't enough. I'm not penalizing them that much. There are a ton of bad injuries factoring into that. So Iowa State's sitting at 14 for me. Vandy, 15. I dropped them one spot from 14 to 15. I don't care. They went into Tuscaloosa. This was a one-score game. Vandy was totally in this game. They kind of beat themselves a little bit. Alabama had a really good defensive game plan, especially the halftime adjustments, which if you're a Bama fan, good to see DeBoer actually coming up with a good game plan and actually making adjustments in a game, which we haven't necessarily seen from them since he's taken over. But I'm not really penalizing Vandy for that game. And DeBoer did run up the score late in the fourth quarter to make it look worse.
He needed to. You and I both know he needed to run that score up.
I mean, this was a one-score game with less than 8 minutes left in it.
I know, but for Alabama fans, for the team, for everything, for his job, he needed to put a couple extra tutties on the board.
This was a one-score game with less than 4 minutes in it. Let's not forget about that. So Vandy did just fine. They're going to bounce back just fine. I am not worried about them. I think they're going to go headhunting for a couple SEC teams that are in the rankings here as the season goes on. BYU, I jumped up to 16. They got the benefit of, at least in my rankings, a lot of the teams above them either losing or just not playing, and BYU wins another game. I would have liked to see them win by more against West Virginia at home.
Yeah.
But, didn't happen. They're favored by 1.5 going down to Tucson to play the Cats. And I think we're going to learn a lot about whether or not BYU deserves to stay in this rankings. Not that I think the Cats are too far out of the top 25 conversation, especially a home win over BYU is probably not going to put them into the top 25, but have them right on the verge there.
Yeah.
BYU should go into Tucson and win by 2 or 3 scores. They should. They're only favored by 1.5. If they want to stay where they are, they got to go in and win by 2 to 3 scores. But then I got Florida State at 17. It's okay. I'm moving them up a little bit. Michigan at 18. I originally had Penn State at 19, but after rethinking this a little bit, I am keeping Penn State in my rankings, and I know that's going to upset some people. That is going to upset some people, but I like them more in the 22, 23 range after, like I said, sleeping on it. I was a little drunky poo when I made these rankings. which could have gone one of two extremes and it went this. I don't like Penn State at 19, but I am going to keep them at about 22, 23, which then by proxy is going to move Mizzou up to my number 19. I got Utah as my number 20. I know the AP doesn't even have them ranked. I feel like they got severely penalized, punished for a bad blowout loss at home to Texas Tech, who is a really fucking good football team. Utah bounced back just fine, had a big win, and so Utah is going to be closing out my top 20 there.
I like it. Last 5 in the AP. Arizona State 21, Iowa State 22, Memphis 23, South Florida 24, Florida State 25.
Yeah, talked about Penn State. I did have Texas still in my top 25 at 24. That's one that I had to rethink a little bit. Left Tennessee right out as probably my number 26 team. Then I started comparing resumes. Because, let's be honest, I think the AP's got Tennessee way too high. I don't care about that. Start looking at Tennessee versus Texas, Penn State. They all have close losses to really good teams. Tennessee losing to Georgia, Penn State to Oregon in double overtime at home, Texas at Ohio State. They all take their chops. Well, Tennessee hasn't really taken their chops bad like Penn State and Texas has. But I admit I can't have Tennessee below Penn State and Texas right now. So Tennessee is going to jump up to 22 for me. I am going to have USF sitting at 21. Penn State or Tennessee 22. I'm going to have Penn State right behind them, holding that 23. And then it gets tough with what to do. I'm Virginia, another overtime win. I really am not feeling it with Virginia. I kind of really wanted to keep them out. I'm going to sneak them in there at 24. ASU, I'm going to hold at 25 with where I had them, and I'm going to drop Texas just outside of that top 25 is how we're reevaluating that. And again, I think Texas is a good team capable of some wins. Losing at the Swamp is not the worst thing that can happen. That 14-7 loss to Ohio State at the Shoe week 1, that does mean something. In my mind, at least, that means something. This team can play. They can compete. This isn't a bad team. Yes, the resume for both Penn State and Texas, not looking good right now. Not looking good. Again, I am keeping Penn State slightly in there at 23, though. A double overtime loss at home against Oregon is not bad. The difference between the two, why I have Penn State now in my revision and Texas slightly out, is because Penn State has blown the shit out of the lesser opponents that they've played. The UCLA loss, really, really fucking bad. If you remember, I only dropped Penn State to I still had them at 4, right behind Oregon in my last week's ranking. I was like, okay, they're fine. I'm dropping them from 4 to 23, 19 spots here because that UCLA loss at UCLA just inexplicable.
It's so bad.
What the fuck happened?
Seriously.
Way, way worse than Texas losing to Florida, but I had already been dropping Texas down my board on my rankings. So I don't know. I'm sorry, Tennessee. My initial reaction to that, again, I didn't put a ton of time and thought into it. You don't deserve to be out of the rankings, but I also think the AP's got Tennessee way too fucking high.
Way too high.
I mean, what have they done? They lost in overtime to Georgia, won in overtime against Mississippi State, which is why I do have you above ASU, because ASU did lose to them. Not that I think Mississippi State's a terrible team, but yeah, again, after sleeping on it, thinking about it, pondering it, I did have to shift my numbers a little bit.
I don't blame you. No, I don't blame you. I like your ranking a hell of a lot more than I like the AP's. I'll let you know that. But you got anything else in college football?
No, I'll just run through my honorable mentions here that I do have outside of the rankings, teams that I am keeping an eye on. Again, after my revision, Tennessee does move off of this list. Texas does move onto the list. I think they are still a very good team. They're still going to win some games in the SEC. I'm not worried about it. I don't think they're a playoff team, that's for sure. But USC, probably the biggest one people might be looking at that I left off, Georgia Tech. Do I feel like Georgia Tech's a ranked team? No, I don't fucking feel like Georgia Tech's a ranked team, and that's based on the eye test, based on what I've seen from them. And once we get through this ACC schedule, I think a lot of people are going to be on my side instead of people who have Georgia Tech in the top fucking 12 of their rankings. Get the fuck out of here. What is this? Who has this team beat? Who have, like, Clemson, not impressive to me. You barely got past Colorado to start the season. Like, they've had close calls all over the board. I don't understand how we've just collectively said, oh, yeah, this Georgia Tech team is really good. Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, they're right outside of my top 25 because I don't want to rank them because I don't feel like they should be ranked. I don't feel like they will be ranked. If they are, it's not going to be in the top 20. I'm not worried about it.
I agree.
Memphis, Old Dominion, UNLV, North Texas. 4 teams I want to shout out there. I did pop USF in there, but these are the other 4 teams that I am keeping an eye on as far as that group of 5. 3 of them in the American Conference. That's going to be fun to see how that plays out. We have a really, really, really fun game coming up on, I believe it's either Thursday or Friday, USF playing at North Texas.
Ooh.
You should absolutely have that circled for your Friday night. Cincinnati, after wins over Kansas and then Iowa State in the last 2 weeks, they are right outside of there. Washington bouncing back after a rough one against Ohio State, got down big against Maryland at Maryland, came back, won that game, so they're on my radar. Nebraska is going to be the other team that I've got there to keep an eye on. They're playing at Maryland this week. That's going to be a really big telling game for both Maryland and for Nebraska.
That it will. Going to be a fun weekend of college football. Noah, can't wait to see the slate you got put together for us for tomorrow when we do our picks. Down to take a quick break, and then we'll break down the NFL.
Absolutely.
All right, before we do that, just want to take a moment, shout out to everyone watching here on Rumble, over on YouTube, and X. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. It does help us out a lot more than you know. I'm the Bro 51 AJ. That's the Money Train Noah, and we'll be right back. All right, the button's not working. I'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Hello, DGens. Perfect one, AJ here with the Money Train. Noah, you ready to get into NFL?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, starting off Thursday night football last week, NFC West action. San Francisco 49ers do go ahead and take the dub against the Los Angeles Rams 26-23. Mac Jones 33 for 49 for 342 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Matt Stafford 30 for 47, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great quarterback play on both sides of the ball, just bouncing San Francisco's way. Noah, do we have a quarterback battle in quarterback controversy in San Fran?
It's the I'm gonna beat the same drum that it doesn't fucking matter who's playing quarterback in San Francisco, and it was so stupid that they paid Brock Purdy all this money because I mean like literally spot the fucking difference. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Mac Jones can do everything that Brock Purdy can do. Actually, I think he's got a little more arm strength to him. Brock Purdy may be a little higher quarterback IQ, but at the end of the day, you ask somebody to come in and step in, play quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. If you got a somewhat competent quarterback, they're going to take care of business. And Mac Jones is now 3-0. Brock Purdy's 1-1 on the season. And Mac Jones has arguably stepped in and won more challenging games against better defenses than Brock Purdy. So if I'm San Francisco, I might be trying to trade away Brock Purdy and just be like, hey, we'll just stick with Mac Jones because this is working just fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. The 49ers look good. 49ers look good, and maybe it's the young blood getting in there, something different that's helping that out. And Kyle Shanahan has a new toy to play with, and he enjoys that. But no, Mac Jones looked very competent against a fairly solid 49er, Rams defense. I'm not worried about the Rams. I mean, a close game, close divisional game. It's one of those NFC West likes to trade a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're the Rams, you had a tough L that you took against the Eagles, a tough L you're not taking against the Niners, but I don't think there's any reason to be worried about this Rams team. They look just fine. Niners steal another win. I mean, that's the best way I can put it because this team sitting at 4-1 could easily be 2-3 right now.
Very.
You could even argue they could be 1-4, but they, as they've done many a time since Shanahan's taken over as coach, they figure out a way to win and they get it done. So shout out to the Niners. Hate you, but they're winning these close 1-score games, and that's a big thing.
Yeah, those are the games you really need to win and got to have. And the Browns, unfortunately, unable to do that, though, as we move over to Sunday across the pond. Vikings take this one 21-17. Carson Wentz went 25 for 34 for 236 yards. Cam Akers also went 1 for 1 for 32 yards. No, there's a fun stat from that game. And Dylan Gabriel in his NFL debut across the pond, 19 for 33, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for him, though. Quinshon Judkins running for 110 yards himself. Nice quarterback by committee for the Vikings, though. I mean, watched a little bit of this game when I woke up, and the great comeback from the Vikings. A hell of a comeback from the Vikings. Carson Wentz being able to step up when he did. They're dangerous, Noah. They're dangerous. I think the Vikings are going to continue to be dangerous. But it's caveat. It's like if Carson Wentz is playing like MVP Carson Wentz, if he's playing like Colts Carson Wentz, then no, I don't like it at all. But I don't know what the Vikings are going to do though. I mean, here they are 3-2 with Carson Wentz. After 2 kind of rough games with JJ McCarthy. Do you roll with the experience? Do you roll with the inexperience? It's up for Kevin O'Connell to decide, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't think dangerous is by any means the correct word to use. but competent. Like this team as a whole is competent. They're capable of winning games. I mean, you have back-to-back weeks with situations where they were down late in the fourth quarter. Last week against the Steelers, unable to get it done in two different tries there. The Browns, who have a very respectable defense, the Vikings were able to get it done second time around here, end up splitting the two games on the trip over there. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see J.J. McCarthy again by probably sometime around week 7, week 8, maybe. I don't know. I don't have a ton of takeaways from this game. The Browns defense, very good. Dylan Gabriel, I don't think is the guy. I know it's a small sample size. I do think we'll see Shador right around the same time frame that we maybe see J.J. McCarthy back in action for the Vikings. And so, especially with Flacco being traded away now, I don't think Dylan Gabriel's the guy. Like, it's just not going to happen. The Vikings defense is mediocre. He's going to look real bad against any good defenses that he's playing against. And I do think we'll see Shador at some point and see what he can do. But yeah, Cleveland, it's a shame because they have what I would argue is a top 5 defense in the league right now. And the offense just can't put up enough points to do anything there. So it's tough for Cleveland. It feels like they're stuck in the same cycle here. I do think they're going to continue to be a really good cover team this year on the spreads. I just don't think they're going to win a lot of games.
No, it doesn't feel like that. Trading away Joe Flacco as well. They trust Dylan Gabriel and or Shador, and they're just going to kind of roll on the season. Or they think Deshaun Watson is going to be healthier sooner rather than later. And
I don't think we're going to see Watson at all. I think it's going to be.
I don't think so either. I'm just throwing it out there that is a very real possibility that they were going to carry 4 quarterbacks. Then go ahead and get rid of Flacco to the Bengals and swap draft picks, and roll with the rookies until Watson gets back, I guess, if that's what they want to do. But
yeah, I think we're going to see a few more weeks of Dylan Gabriel until that gets worn out, and then Shador is going to go in. Will he do any better? I don't have an overwhelming amount of confidence. Out of the two of those, Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders, I do slightly like Shador Sanders better than Dylan Gabriel. I just think Sanders. He might be a little more raw around the edges. I just think Sanders can do things that Gabriel can't. So, it'll be worth throwing him in and seeing what he can do after Gabriel rips off 2 or 3 more losses in a row and is doing absolutely nothing while the defense is holding teams under 20 points. But yeah, we'll see. It's a mess in Cleveland, and they got to do something. I don't know what or when or this defense is too good to just have an offense that cannot put up points. Judkins, though, looks really good. That is the one bright spot. They found their running back for the future in Quinshon Judkins because he's clearly their number 1 undisputed running back 1 after finally taking 2 or 3 weeks into the season to get that contract figured out. But he'll be good. He'll be good. He's shown it already.
Yeah, no, I like Quinshon Judkins a lot. Like you said, we'll see what happens with the quarterback room there. It's not looking pretty. Let's go to another team where, I think we may need to go ahead and break glass, win emergency. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens getting belt to ass by the Houston Texans, 44-10. Cooper Rush, 14 for 20, 179 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. CJ Stroud, 23 for 27, 244, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Okay, we can sit here and break down how shitty the defense is for the Ravens. Can I bring you to a more concerning stat?
You got more concerning than their defense?
More concerning than their defense, okay? Sure. Mind you, Lamar Jackson is out, okay? And Cooper Rush isn't Lamar Jackson. We understand that. 15 attempts. 15 rushing attempts for Derrick Henry, 33 yards and a touchdown.
Well, you do have to understand with that if you're playing the entire game from behind, you are not going to be
I
running the
get
ball
it.
much. But then they also weren't throwing the ball that much. They just
Exactly.
weren't running any offensive plays because they couldn't get first downs.
No, but exactly. But nothing was working. And again, I would agree with that argument of, well, they were from behind the whole time. They had to throw the ball. Cooper rushed the ball 20 times. Like, that's not a play from behind quarterback stat. That is we're well in control of this game. We're going to throw the ball 20 times and hand it off to the running back and run down the clock. But here we have little to no, and again, not a lot of offensive plays like you mentioned, but still, like, I don't know, man. They got to get that run game going early. They've got to figure out something on the offense. Lamar Jackson ain't coming back anytime soon. If we're just going to go ahead and, write off this season, fine. Derrick Henry needs to come up with some fake hamstring injury in the next couple of weeks and save himself for next season. No worry on taking hits if the team's going to be looking like this and the offense is going to be called like this.
Yeah, well, if you need any argument for why Lamar Jackson should be probably a 3-time MVP at this point, you look at what the Baltimore Ravens offense looks like with Lamar there, and then you look at what they look like without Lamar. And even when you had Huntley or some other quarterbacks that have a play style more similar, Cooper Rush couldn't be a more different play style than what Lamar is. I'm baffled by the fact that that's what they have at backup. Yeah, Lamar is probably the most, I would argue, the most sole important player to his team in the entire NFL. But the biggest story for me is Baltimore, which I think their defense was fighting with the Cowboys for who's going to look worse, and then the Cowboys actually had a good showing against Justin Fields and the Jets. And Houston, by the way, looked really good all season long defensively. Their offense has had massive struggles, and those struggles just disappeared as soon as they play Baltimore because this Ravens defense, specifically the pass defense,
so bad.
I don't know if I have a lot of faith for them keeping a D2 college program off the board.
Shit.
It's ugly. It is real bad, and I think anybody who plays Baltimore is going to have their way with this defense. And if Lamar Jackson doesn't get back soon and they can't just outscore teams in high-ass scoring shootouts, the Ravens are going to continue to lose a lot of games.
Yeah, that's not clear. Like, they need to figure something out quick on the defensive side. The offensive side, yeah, that's going to struggle. But if you can't stay in games on the defensive side, there ain't going to be no point in that offense playing. So that's rough. But shout out to the Texans. Best game they've played so far this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can turn that corner and keep it moving.
Yeah, not what we expect to see out of Baltimore defense. Usually they're tough and gritty on defense, and they just look like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, they're rough. They're rough. Moving on, Noah, Miami Dolphins, Carolina Panthers. Panthers take this one in a close one, 27-24. Bryce Young, 19 for 30, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tua Tagovailoa, 27 for 36, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. A lot of close-scoring games this week, no. A lot of close-scoring games, but
this was a weird one too. Shout out to Carolina. I'm sorry I said on our show coming into the week that you just get down by a couple scores and throw in the towel and just give the fuck up. Because they got down 17-0 in this one.
Yeah.
And you know what they didn't do? They didn't throw in the towel and give up. They ground out a nice win against a not very good Miami team, but Bryce Young's Carolina offense, no Chuba Hubbard, didn't matter. They got it done. Carolina wins. They could string together some back-to-back wins and get to 500 this next week. We'll see. That's going to be interesting. But, yeah, Miami just looks sad. I think the difference between these two teams is I would say they're about even skill-wise and what I expect out of them. But at least Carolina has some fight. The Dolphins just –
for sure.
Dolphins look like they're just running through the motions.
Yeah, and shout out Rico Dowdle, 23 attempts, 206 yards for a tutty. That's not a bad stat line right there. Not a bad line right there, and he looked good doing it. No, the Panthers showing fight, like you said, Noah. Love to see that. Love to see Bryce Young be able to, clutch up, put the team together, and get downfield enough times to put up enough points. They look good this week and a lot better. The Dolphins offensively seem to have figured it out. It seems to be kind of one of those Stephon Diggs from the Bills situation where diva wide receiver is no longer playing, and suddenly the offense feels like it opens up a little bit. And I hate to say that about Tyreek because of how dynamic of a player he is, but seems to kind of be the case with what I saw on Sunday. But
yeah, I don't know if that's the case. I just feel like the word that comes to mind when I'm looking at the Dolphins is just dysfunctional.
For sure,
their talent. There's a lot of talent at certain positions, but they just look dysfunctional.
Yeah, and rumors coming out that that seat might be getting a little hot for Mike McDaniels. Excuse me,
Yeah,
wrong Mike.
As it should be.
Yeah, no, that shouldn't be just warming up. It should be scorching hot right now. That's for sure.
Again, but the gimmick has been run through. It was fun when they were winning, but now it's like you don't want a gimmicky head coach when you're not winning and things aren't going well because it makes it that much easier to turn on him quickly.
Yeah, would not be shocking if that locker room is lost already, honestly. But
definitely. What was it? A week ago they called a players only meeting, and that's never.
Yeah, after week one, that was so rough. Oh man,
this early into the season. So, unless Miami turns something around quickly, I don't think we'll see Mike McDaniel as a head coach for the Dolphins next year.
I do have to agree with you there. Keeping it moving, Noah. We've got the Raiders getting belt to ass from the Colts, 40-6. Danny Dimes, 20 for 28, 212 yards. They were up so much, Noah. We saw Anthony Richardson go 1 for 2 for 9 yards. Geno Smith, 25 for 36, 228 yards, 2 interceptions, which has been the theme for Geno this season. He has thrown I believe, 9 interceptions already this season or something like that, and I don't think it's going to stop. I don't think the Raiders are going to change their game plan. I don't think anything's going to happen. And, yes, some of the interceptions are bad. Some of the interceptions are tips. Some of the interceptions are this, that, the other. Like, don't get me wrong, interception's an interception, Noah, but I don't think anyone was expecting a lot out of this Raiders team this year. And I personally have no issue if Geno Smith wants to rip the ball 36, 40 times downfield, and they're going to let him do it. Fucking let him do it. I'd rather him go down in the blaze of glory and a gunslinger than, you're already down. What the fuck's another interception? Let's go ahead and rip it, bro.
He just doesn't have the receivers to do that, though. And I know Brock Bowers was out in this game.
Yeah, that was rough.
The Raiders just don't have the receivers for Geno to be ripping the ball downfield into risky areas like he is, because you start looking at the DBs they're going against versus the receivers they have, you're going to lose a lot more of those battles because you don't have a guy who can go up, find the ball, go get it, pull it down. They need, and it's been a little bit of a struggle so far, but they need to establish the run game. They did it one time. They won the game.
Yep.
It's going to be painful. It's going to be a painful season for the Raiders, but they need to really, really, really just drill it through their heads. They need to establish the run game, and then they probably need to pull the reins in on Geno a little bit and say, look at who you're throwing to. We need to be smarter with the ball, because if not, Geno's going to go throw 30 interceptions this season. I mean, he's pretty much on pace for it. So, Indiana Jones and the Colts continue to look like a well-oiled machine. That one of the biggest surprises so far of the season for me is I did not expect a ton out of this Colts team, but maybe Daniel Jones is the guy. I don't fucking know. He looks like it. This team's playing really well on all facets, and it'll be interesting to see what the Colts do with the rest of their season.
It will be. I'm a big fan of what the Colts have on the field right now. I'm a big fan of their tape, big fan of what Daniel Jones is doing. And I don't see anything but for them to continue to have success this season. Keeping it going, Noah. New York Giants, New Orleans Saints. Saints take this one 26-14. Congratulations to Spencer Rattler for winning your first ever NFL career start after 2 seasons.
Charm, baby.
Huh?
I said 11th time's the charm.
11th time's the charm. Hey, blind squirrel and a nut, all that fun stuff. Welcome back to the fold, Taysom Hill, as this was his first start of the season as well. And Saints took advantage of it. I mean, he didn't do much, but Saints still looked pretty good, as good as they could. And I mean, I was expecting a lot more out of this New York Giants team. Like, I understand that, Jackson Dart was going to cool off a bit. I was expecting more on the defensive side of the football. I was not expecting, Spencer Rattler to, have himself a day and everything like that. I was expecting more of a hard-nosed, like, Saints going to need to run the ball type thing. And I mean, Alvin Kamara only with 8 attempts, 27. Miller with 10 attempts, 41. They didn't need to establish the run because Spencer Rattler was doing fine in the air. Needed Giants defense to come up bigger. And then, I mean, Jackson Dart, 26 for 42, 202, 2-2 on touchdowns and interceptions. Not the best stat line in the world, but rookie quarterback, going to make mistakes. And again, you're down your best wide receiver in the league neighbors for the rest of the season.
Break it down first half versus second half, and that's
true.
That's all you need to know. I say, as somebody who picked up Jackson Dart for his fantasy team this week, I was really excited when he had 17 points at halftime. Was I as excited when he finished the entire game with 17 points? No, not quite as much. It wasn't all on Jackson Dart, though. You have that last drive of the first half, trying to score some more points, take back the lead, and Darius Slayton decides he wants to cough up the ball. And then you have Cam Scattaboo when you're back in the red zone in the second half, coughs up the ball, Saints return it for a touchdown. And then you had 2 interceptions for Jackson Dart in the second half. It was just a turnover mess in the last 32 minutes of the game for the Giants. They probably should have won this game, but again, you unfortunately couldn't get the separation they needed as well as they were playing for most of the first half. And then you just start coughing the ball up start giving the ball out like it's candy on Halloween. You're going to have problems. And the Saints didn't look all that impressive. They just didn't turn the damn ball over.
No.
And that's, I believe the final turnover margin was 4-0 in this game, if I'm not mistaken.
Believe so.
I don't think the Giants forced one. And yet you're not going to be in a lot of good positions to win games if you lose the turnover battle 4-0. That's just common football knowledge. And the Giants still have a long, long way to go. The Saints do avoid going winless this season by getting a win here against the Giants. One of about 4 or 5 games I circled as ones they're going to have a chance in. There's not many more. There's not many more. I'd still be shocked if this Saints team wins more than 3 games this season, but they get one here in an absolutely terrible outing by the New York Giants, and Jackson Dart questionable going into next week. I believe they play Philly. Darius Slayton potentially not going to be out there, and so you're already out Malik Neighbors for the season. It's not looking fun for the New York Giants.
No, not looking particularly good for the Giants whatsoever. But hey, it could look a lot worse, like it does for the New York Jets. Jets lose to the Cowboys 22-37. They drop to 0-5 on the season. I don't know what to say about the Jets that I haven't said about Justin Fields or Justin Fields' team already. I mean, it's the New York Football Jets. No, they're going to continue to be the New York Football Jets until something big changes. And I don't know what that big thing needs, but I mean, you tried the Aaron Rodgers thing. You're trying the Justin Fields thing. Maybe we go back to the draft. Maybe we don't. I don't know, but they look bad on defense, look bad on offense. Can't really say much positive about them.
No, bulldoze the entire thing and just start from the ground up. I'm talking about, GM, front office, your scouts, your coaches, your team, like just blow.
Yeah, the receptionist at the front desk, the doorman, security, like everything from top to bottom needs to get scrubbed to this losing organization.
Well, and unfortunately, oftentimes that does come from owner down, and that generally does not change. So, I the Jets have so many problems. I'm not even going to begin to dissect it. I will say you go against this Cowboys defense, which you should have been able to. If you're Justin Fields, the Jets offense, you should have been able to move the ball just fine, score a lot of points on this Cowboys defense. I still thought the Cowboys were going to win this game, but I thought this was probably going to have a lot more points than it did, even though it was relatively high. But the Jets did get some garbage time points to add on to this after they were getting their asses fucking handed to them. I will say about the Cowboys offense looks capable. We saw it against Philly. We saw it against the Packers, who I still believe have a really good defense. I don't know what the fuck happened in that game to allow the Cowboys to put up 40. We see it against the Jets, who supposedly should have a decent defense. The Cowboys are having no problem moving the ball and putting points on the board.
Yeah.
Their defense scares the hell out of me. Again, I said coming into this week, I was like, the only defense worse than the Ravens is the Cowboys. But now I think I flip-flopped those, and the Cowboys actually played a good game against the Jets. Not that the Jets are a good offense. Breece Hall had a nice game, but outside of that, there was not any bright spots for the New York Jets. And I think the Cowboys will be around 500 this year just because this offense for Dallas is plenty capable of putting up points.
For sure.
They're just going to give up a shit ton of points, I think, throughout the year. But, finally for the first time in 3-4 years, Cowboys have a competent running back again. They rebuilt that offensive line. Dak's playing fine. CeeDee Lamb's been out 2 weeks. It hasn't mattered. The Cowboys are still putting up almost 40 points a game with 2 games without CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens has really come into his own. So I don't think the Cowboys are going to be a team to wipe your nose at necessarily. Do I expect them to be a playoff team? No, but again, I think they could be one of the top 3 to 5 high-scoring offenses in the league this year. Their defense is extremely suspect and will probably give up a lot of points.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more, Noah. Great offense and everything, but defense, they'll give up the points. You can take them, but they'll give them up too. Well, I believe we have no more undefeated teams in the NFL anymore, Noah, after the Eagles go ahead and take a loss to the Broncos. Am I right?
Well, after the Bills lost to the Patriots, but we'll get to that one.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. My bad, dude.
Yeah, both 4-0 teams do go down. 2 out of the 3 0-4 teams get a win in the Titans and the Saints. Jets, we just talked about the lone winless team in the league now, which is funny because I don't even think the Jets are the worst team in the league, but it is very fitting that the Jets are the last winless team.
Very, very. But the Broncos go ahead and fight back in the fourth quarter on this one. They come back 21-17, the final score here. Bo Nix, 24-39, 242, 1 touchdown, no interceptions for him. Jalen Hurts, 23 for 38, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Getting the passing game more involved in this one. The Broncos defense, looking pretty solid for most of the game. The Eagles not a team that's going to go out and put up 30 points every week. Just not their MO, not the type of football they play, which is fine. But the Broncos defense definitely stepping up to the challenge. Bo Nix, I'll give props where props are due, not getting rattled, able to command the team in the fourth quarter, get the balls in the end zone when they needed to.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway here, and maybe a continued thing from a couple of the games we've seen earlier this season, but we haven't really seen it for a full game, but this Eagles offense has some fundamental issues to it. That was on full display in this game.
Yeah.
And I kind of ignored it, didn't pay attention to it a ton because, you had that really nice comeback win against the Rams. They looked, did what they needed to against the Bucs, 2 very good teams. And then you get this game against the Broncos, who are a very good defense, but the Eagles look more beatable than they did last year.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels a lot more like 2023 Philadelphia than 2024, where there's some cracks in the armor here. There definitely is, and I know Saquon's great, but if the Eagles get in situations where they need Jalen Hurts to drop back and open it up in the pass game, that's your weakness you need to attack, because either he's not finding these receivers, or I know there was one route where A.J. Brown was wide open and then kind of stopped and then was like, oh shit, and had to pick it up. And then people were trying to blame Hurts for an overthrow. And it's like, well, A.J. Brown stopped running his route for about 3 steps. So that should have been an easy touchdown. Don't get me wrong, this Eagles team's still very, very, very good. Should be a top contender to come out of the NFC. They got plenty of time to figure out the issues that they are having, but they are having issues right now. They're having issues, and they've had slow starts each of the last 2 seasons as well. Like, let's not forget that. They were 2-2 to start last season, and they really snapped into gear, figured it out, and then looked unbeatable. The year before that, they got off to a slow start as well. Came on late. So I'm not worried about the Eagles, but they are going to have to start, like, they're back in now for the 3rd year in a row, like, oh, we're like 4, 5, 6 games deep, and we have to start figuring our shit out because this isn't looking. And they're 4-1, so it's not that big.
Yeah, it's not. They're not 1-4, and we're talking about this now. They are 4-1. They get beat by the Broncos, who, I mean, respectable team. Not going to do a lot, but they're respectable.
Yeah, should Philly have lost at home to the Broncos? No. Broncos look like they're on an even playing field as they were last year. I think they're going to be a team that wins about, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 games, probably gets in with a wild card. The Broncos are just they're good. They're not great. That's where I'm at with them.
That's been their MO for years, but I'm right there with you. Keeping it moving. Tennessee Titans beat the Arizona Cardinals 22-21. I am very disappointed in this team. This team doesn't make me happy. It sucked all the joy out of my day. Congrats to the Titans. Congrats to Cam Ward on your first win. You guys looked like shit for most of the game. You're welcome for getting it handed to you on a silver platter with the incompetence of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, we already talked about this one to start our show, so I'll keep it pretty brief here. But yeah, I think as much as I'd love to say Tennessee, congrats on your first win on the season, Cardinals pretty much handed it to him on a silver platter. Really rough. A lot of things you could point out in that one. If DiMercato doesn't make his little whoopsie, Cardinals are up, 21 points in the 4th quarter. I don't think Tennessee comes back from that. And game plan probably looks a whole lot different for both teams. Funny, too, because, coming in, Gannon was kind of like, we're going to see how the week plays out for who's the starting running back here. Michael Carter definitely getting the lion's share of the carries. DiMercato, 3 carries, 1 for 70 yards, but 0 touchdowns because he decided to throw it out of the back of the end zone instead of carrying it across the goal line. Funny now, I think it's going to be really hard for the Cardinals to have any sort of split backfield. I think it's pretty cut right now, and I think that fumble really sealed the deal there, because I think if DiMercato runs that in for a touchdown, Cardinals win the game, they'd probably be a lot more inclined to go in with a true split backfield, especially after a nice 70-yard run there. Not so much the case, and it's just I feel for you, AJ, because that's a really, really rough one to swallow. You had a 7.5-point spread. The Cardinals probably even cover that spread if DiMercato just runs that across the goal line.
Yep. Gotta look cool. Gotta look cool for the gram, Noah.
And second time we've seen that now in the NFL this year.
Yeah, twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so Colts did it last week. Very similar situation too. They were up, could have gone up more, didn't, flip the entire momentum and the script of the game. Moral of the story: if you're a wide receiver, running back, even a defensive player, anybody, don't drop the ball out of your goddamn hands until you cross the fucking goal line. It's not very hard. I love calling it the Deshaun Jackson because he kind of made that one famous. And the fact that we've seen it twice in 2 weeks now, and 2 teams lose a game that they had full control of because of it, it shouldn't be that fucking hard. Just hold the ball in your hands, in your arms, until you are like a good step or two across the goal line, and then you can drop it.
Then you
Just
can
don't
drop
drop
it.
it on the half-yard line before you're into the end zone. Like, it's crazy. I don't even know why we're even having to say this, because you would think they would just know, but apparently not.
Anyway, moving on. Buccaneers, Seahawks. Buccaneers have another fourth quarter last drive comeback. They go away with this one 38-35. They're 4-1. Seahawks 3-2. Baker Mayfield 29 for 33, 379 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Sam Darnold 28 for 34, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. This Sam Darnold thing is awesome to watch. I mean, the whole resurrection of his career, going through the Kevin O'Connell rehab, and then now being with the Seattle Seahawks and playing solid football. I mean, I hate to say it, but he's not seeing ghosts. He's playing good. Seeing the field really well. Love what they're doing with the run game with Walker and Charbonnet. JSN looks great. Kupp looks great. Barner looks great. I mean, this is a very solid Seattle Seahawks team. The Buccaneers just seem to have that magic this year. They seem to have that magic that, the Chiefs had and Patrick Mahomes had for those first couple of years. Like, well, shit, there's 30 seconds left on the clock and you're giving the ball to Baker Mayfield. Like, hold your breath. This game ain't over yet.
Yeah. No, the Bucs like winning. They like winning.
They love winning.
They don't necessarily like winning pretty, but they like winning. And what a good old-fashioned gunslinger, if I will, type of showdown here. Yes, I called Sam Darnold a gunslinger, not a system quarterback. Come at me, whatever. He's always kind of been a gun. He's never been a system guy. But
no, he's a slinger.
I might have said it once or twice when he was with Minnesota, but actually, I don't even think I called him a system quarterback with Minnesota. I just said he got the luxury of throwing to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, which is going to make anybody look decent. Not to say O'Connell's not a great quarterbacks coach, because I truly believe he is. I think Seattle's a great place for quarterbacks. I think Seattle's a great place for quarterbacks, because look at what Geno's doing this year. Seattle got Geno paid. He looked pretty damn good the last 2 years with Seattle. And Darnold comes in, and Darnold's looking great. And I think Seattle's maybe Seattle's that's the one that's not being talked about. But maybe Seattle's got a great quarterback. Breeding ground's not what I'm looking for, but it's a great situation for quarterbacks. I think they're in Seattle, and I know they've gone through a little bit of a revolving door with receivers there, but. Yeah, this was a fun one. Yeah. I enjoyed watching this game a lot. But, yeah, Baker Mayfield, it turns out it doesn't really matter who he's throwing the ball to. You got no Bucky Irving, but let's not forget about Rachaad White, who got phased out by Bucky Irving because Bucky Irving was just better. But Rachaad White's still a really good running back. He had a great game. Godwin came back, didn't have a huge impact, but it doesn't matter because I got Emeka Egbuka. Mike Evans will be back at some point. Cade Otton, at least in the first quarter, first half, was having a nice game. But yeah, Baker's he's found his home.
Yeah.
He's found his home, and he's got that just like winning mentality. He's got that grit to him, and yeah, this was a fun one. I enjoyed this. I hope we get a rematch in the playoffs. First round of the playoffs, Seattle at Tampa Bay. That would be a fun one. I hope we get a rematch of this one, because these are two teams that have been really fun to watch, and so that's my biggest takeaway. Is I just really enjoyed watching this game, and it was close for a reason. These are two very evenly matched teams, and I hope we get to see part 2 of Tampa Bay and Seattle.
Would be fun. Let's cross our fingers for that one. Keeping it going, Noah. Lions beat the Bengals 37-24. Jake Browning, 26 for 42, 51, 3 for 3 on touchdowns and interceptions. Jared Goff, 19 for 23, 258 yards, 3-0 touchdown to interception. Jake Browning, I think maybe has one more week as a starter with Joe Flacco being brought in. I know we've seen it happen before, but short week.
I hope I hope he's the starter. I don't want to go against Joe. This may be weird, but Packers play the Bengals next week at Lambeau. 14.5-point favorites is what that opened up as. I'm a little nervous. I'm like, please God, do not let us lose 2 games in one season to Joe fucking Flacco.
Well, yeah, and Joe Flacco beat you guys with the Browns. Now he's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw the ball to. Like, I'd start to get concerned about that a little bit if he does end up starting.
Now, the flip side of that is a much worse offensive line and a much worse defense. So, yeah, you get the upgrade at wide receiver, but the offensive line, my favorite thing I saw today was somebody quote tweeted the trade news and said, does this count as elder abuse? Yeah, Jake Browning has not looked good. He looked really good when he stepped in that game against the Jaguars, and he has looked absolutely atrocious since. I thought the Lions gave up way too many points to this Bengals team.
I would agree.
I saw ESPN toss the Lions all the way up there at 1 in their power rankings. Okay, I know they've scored a lot of points the 4 weeks since the Packers confuddled them in the first game of the season. But their defense has been a little suspect at times. I think their defense is mediocre at best. For me, this was too many points for the Lions to be given up to this Bengals team in the state that they're in. That being said, their offense looks phenomenal. They're back to being a well-oiled machine. I think the Lions are going to be in a lot of high-scoring games. I think when they do play lesser teams, they're going to blow them out. When they do play better teams, it's going to be really high-scoring games that the Lions are going to be at jeopardy of losing. And so that's kind of my take on the Lions right now.
Who's in a better spot? Because you've described the Cowboys and now the Lions essentially in the same manner. Probably a little bit more down on the Cowboys defense, but who do you think's in a better spot right now, the Lions or the Cowboys?
Oh, the Lions, definitely. I think the Lions' offense is a hair better, a hair more explosive than the Cowboys. And I would say the Lions' defense is mediocre versus the Cowboys' defense just being atrocious. So
fair enough. Just wanted to throw that out there.
That's going to be the big difference for me is, again, I do have concerns about the Lions' defense, but I would grade them mediocre right now versus the Cowboys. I think have an atrocious defense. So I think both teams gave up too many points to their respective opponents. However, the Jets did pour on a lot in garbage time. Bengals were kind of moving the ball on the Lions defense. So we'll see. I'm not concerned about Detroit. They did not cover 10.
No.
But yeah, we'll see what happens with Packers and Bengals this upcoming week because I hope it's Jake Browning, but even if it's Joe Flacco, I can't wait for, especially off the bye week, for our nice little pass rush there in Green Bay that we've built up with Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary to really just pin the ears back and go after whoever the hell is at quarterback for Cincinnati.
Well, you're going to be up against the perfect O-line to do that. So we'll see how that goes. We'll break it down more tomorrow. Washington Commanders, Chargers. Commanders take this one 27-10. And let me tell you, Noah, I really thought the Chargers were just going to put this one away. I thought, coming out of the first quarter, the Commanders, too injured, just can't handle it. The Chargers have the perfect game plan. And then the Chargers proceeded not to score again for the rest of the football game, and the Commanders just said, we'll take the scoring from here, guys. Don't you worry about it. Great performance by Jaden Daniels. He did go, 15 for 26, 231 yards and a touchdown, while Justin Herbert, 22 for 29, 166 for a touchdown and an interception. But I mean, hey, even with a, injured Commanders team, they still look damn good. Bill, 14 attempts for 111 yards. He had himself a great game. Deebo Samuel's looking every bit as, prime Deebo when he was with the 49ers and causing chaos with Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I mean, I'm liking it. Luke McCaffrey sneakily, having some good catches, big catches for the team. This Commanders team looks good. Chargers, I don't know how to feel about this one. I mean, the defense still played fine, but the offense really coming up short and not really figuring anything out in the running game or in the passing game. I mean, I don't know, just kind of an iffy loss there for the Chargers. They dropped 3-2.
Yeah, this game was all about the running backs. I think for me, two biggest stories, right? You had the coming out party for Bill. Shout out U of A, even though he only played one game for us. But and then on the flip side, Omarion Hampton going down.
Yeah.
Omarion Hampton goes down. Now going to have Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal. What split of the backfield are we going to see it split? Is it going to be one or the other? Who knows? It's going to be really interesting if you play fantasy for that. Luckily for the Chargers, they get a get-right game against the Dolphins this upcoming week. But yeah, Washington gets Jaden Daniels back after missing him for a week, and that offense was clicking against a pretty decent Chargers defense. So if you had any concerns about Washington early, I think they put a little bit of a damper on those concerns here, and the Chargers. I don't know if you want to start spiraling yet, but start 3-0 against all three of your division opponents. That's phenomenal, and then you drop 2 in a row here in 2 games that you probably shouldn't have lost. One that you shouldn't have lost for sure. This one, a little bit different, but. Yeah, I don't know what to make about the Chargers at this point, and that running back room is really hurting. I do expect they're going to open it up and just fucking pour the points on against Miami's D. But again, Washington, I think if you had any concerns early on, they're maybe not gone completely, but they should be dampened a bit.
Yeah, no, they should be a little bit. I mean, that offense is going to be something. We'll see what Harbaugh can do with that. Sunday Night Football, Noah, came with a nice upset, 23-20. Patriots take this one in Buffalo at Highmark. Not a great game for the Bills. Josh Allen, 22 for 31, 253, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Drake May, 22 for 30, 273, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, shout out Ramondre Stevenson. Getting some good touches there. I'm not going to lie. No, I had a family obligation. Didn't get to watch a lot of this game. The highlights I saw, though, crazy ending. Patriots, Vrabel. Seems to be a match made in heaven.
Yeah, the Patriots did a couple things really, really nice in this game. They ran the ball really well. Gibson getting an injury. I'm not sure if he's out for the season or not. Probably going to see a lot more of Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson now due to that. But yeah, Patriots ran the ball really well. They forced turnovers. The Bills have not turned the ball over all season, and the Patriots turned the ball over, specifically in the fumble category. They were forcing fumbles. This felt like a really good, authentic Mike Vrabel defense. And if the Patriots can bring that, which they have a couple times already this year, this is a team that could threaten to make the playoffs. Drake May is not wowing me, but he's doing enough. He's taking care of the ball. And Stephon Diggs had a good week last week, but I felt like this was really his coming out party back in Buffalo. I believe he had like 10 catches for 150, 160 yards, something like that. Diggs was all over it, and they ran the ball well. They forced turnovers. I mean, I have a lot of good things to say about the Patriots. The Bills, I'm not super worried about, but, just hold on to the ball more, and you don't lose this game. Like, I think they had 3 fumbles in this game, maybe. They had at least 2, but maybe 3.
Fair enough.
I don't have the stats in front of me, so that to me, biggest difference maker in this game. And Patriots took care of the ball. Bills didn't, much like the Giants Saints game. Lose the turnover battle by multiple turnovers. You're probably not going to win too many of those games.
No, absolutely not.
And the Patriots shut down James Cook really well. So that first time James Cook hasn't looked like a offensive player of the year type of candidate this year.
Fair.
And so game plan wise, Patriots came in here ready to win this game, and they took care of business, executed, and they come out on top.
That they did, Noah. Let's move to Monday Night Football. Great game. Ended up being a really solid game. Good fourth quarter, especially. Jaguars beat the Kansas City Chiefs 31-28 off of a Trevor Lawrence fall and scramble, I guess we can call it. They what's his name? Ben Johnson tries to work the fake fumble every once in a while. Trevor Lawrence trying to work a fake sack, a ghost sack or something like that. I don't know, but hey, he falls down twice but gets up that third and runs it in for the touchdown, ending the Chiefs game. And I got to say, Noah, this had to be one of the more sloppily played games I've ever seen the Chiefs play. And, we can talk fundamentals and stuff, but penalty.
It's the new norm.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, it was penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty for the Chiefs. Couldn't help themselves and just couldn't get it done in the end zone at the end of the game. I mean, Chris Jones looked absolutely beside himself, and that's a tough loss for the Kansas City Chiefs. They fall to 2-3 now, and I thought maybe with Worthy being back, we were going to see the offense continue to be explosive, and it was at some points. But again, didn't feel like they could get into a rhythm offensively. It looked like they were on their heels for a lot of this on the defensive side. Obviously, Liam Cohen and the Jags had a good game plan. Trevor Lawrence looked solid. I mean, I'm starting to get a little worried about this Chiefs team, bud.
Yeah, and you start looking at their upcoming schedule, and you start looking at the realistic possibility that 10 games in, they might be 4-6, they might be 5-6, 11 games in, and then there's going to be a real conversation to be had there. I'm not going to say the sky's falling here at 2-3.
No,
but
not falling, but
yeah, they're going to need to figure some stuff out. Jacksonville's sitting at 4-1. I'm not overly confident in that 4-1. I think Jacksonville has, I don't want to say lucked their way into some wins because they have played the games, they've played all the downs and have won these games. But I'm not convinced it's sustainable for Jacksonville. I still think this team sitting at 4-1 right now could miss the playoffs. There's enough issues that I see watching them play. Like, they don't fully pass the eye test for me. And I would, if you're talking about Jacksonville or Kansas City making the playoffs, I'd give us maybe a tiny slight edge to Jacksonville, given that they're 4-1 right now, and Kansas City's 2-3, and Kansas City has a little bit of a tougher schedule. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater for this, but I think I'm still leaning slightly towards Jacksonville missing the playoffs despite their 4-1 start here. I think eye test wise, there's too many things that are like making me raise my eyebrow about.
I get it,
and I don't think it's sustainable. Either way, flowers to them. Good for them for starting 4-1. Chiefs might be in trouble.
They might be.
And, that's what happens when you win your division is you get a tougher schedule than the other teams. And, again, I'm telling you, by about week 10, week 11, the Chiefs may very well be 4-6 after 10 games. They might be 5-6 after 11 games. They do have a nice, easy, fluffy schedule to end the season, so they might sneak into the playoffs with a wild card. But I don't think they're going to be in a great position come week 10, 11, 12.
It's not seeming like it, Noah. And, we talk about the eye test all the time. They're a team as well that's not passing the eye test on any side of the football in any three phases of the game. They look sloppy on offense, they look terrible on defense, and their special teams is nothing special about. We'll see if they can get it flipped around. But, yeah, no, concerns are definitely starting to arise with the Kansas City Chiefs. But with that being said, Noah, that is everything. We touched everything today, literally everything. You got anything else before we call it a night?
I do not. We'll be back at you with our college football and NFL slate tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited about this slate, AJ. It's a fun one.
I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to dig into it, Noah. That will be tomorrow night. You're not going to want to miss it. And to make sure you don't miss it, hit that like button, hit the follow button. It does help us out a lot more than you know. Shout out to everyone watching here on Rumble, over on YouTube and X. Y'all are the best. Thanks for tuning in and talking some sports with us. But with all that, I'm the Brofict one, AJ. That's the Money Train, Noah. Have an incredible rest of your night. We'll see you guys next time on Degenerate Takes. It's not working, so I just gotta. Okay. And we're clear. Oh, nope. All right, I'm going to have to close out the room. No, this is funky. Have a good night, dog.
Adios.